that the ignition, solenoid, and lock is all replaced, we're gonna move on to the brakes. These are brake shoes, so I'm gonna replace the wheel cylinders and the brake shoes. First things first, let's get it jacked up, put on jack stands, get the wheels off, and maybe get the drum off. That thing's probably on there. Good luck. I'm gonna soak everything down with PB Blaster. Hopefully it just falls right off. Oh, let's get these jack stands up under here so I don't die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count the empty spaces, not the teeth. What do you guys do? Now I haven't ordered them yet, but me and Chuck, we're gonna put some new wheels and tires on here. Should be seeing those in a few weeks. Chuck just needs to order them. I don't know why she hasn't ordered them yet. I don't have the credit card. She does. So before I start getting into this brake line on the back of this wheel cylinder, I need some PB Blaster. It's on that shelf. Soak her down, soak the bolts down, soak the bleeder valve down, soak it all down. I think we're gonna have to replace the brake lines all across this truck, front to back, side to side, and the emergency brake. We'll do that as we go along. I luckily got a new tool for that. Hammer! Now, one thing I don't have is new drums for this truck. Nobody had them in stock. But I can always get these turned if I need to. They don't look too bad. They look really bad. The brake rotor's off. I'm gonna get these brake shoes off. They're not in bad condition, but I already bought them, so I'm gonna replace them. I could not source the new brake rotors. These ones are okay. I'm gonna take a wire, brush to them, clean them up a little bit, set them back on here, and then once I find them, I'll just pop the wheel off and replace that. It's not too difficult to do. So let's get these springs off. The tool I like to use is vice grips to lock onto these springs, and then they shoot wherever they want. I really have no control over these things. First one. Now, only do one of these at a time. Don't just go tearing apart both sides. You might need a reference. I've done them wrong. It's not fun. I need this guy here. This guy here. Off the wheel cylinder. Just move this here. Spring and lock. Spring and lock. Now I did try to source new hardware for these brake shoes and I couldn't. Just nobody seems to have this stuff laying around anymore. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and order it online. Not too big of a deal, but still sucks. Since I'm here, I'm gonna clean up this back plate, shoot a little paint on it. So I got the line off without twisting it. I sprayed the line and the fitting down with PB Blaster. It broke loose and spun, so I didn't have an issue there. These brake cylinders are probably replaced. not long before it was parked. These bolts for the back of it actually came out pretty easy as well. So get these other two out. Get this wheel cylinder out, compare it to the new one. They look to be what I need to be. I don't have these in them, but that's not a problem. I think we can just steal them from there. Yeah. Okay, new wheel cylinder is installed. I'm going to spray down the back of this backing plate with some rust reform and let that set up for a while. Knock out the other side, clean it up, spray it, and then put all this back together. While that sets up, we'll tear it on the other side, get the wheel cylinder replaced, put it all back together. Got the back plate cleaned off, wheel cylinder installed, sprayed with rust converter, it's turning black. Got the new shoes I'm gonna put on. I got the arm, that spring's gone. Got the arm for the emergency brake. Yeah, we'll call it the emergency brake. That's put on. So you just reassemble the way you took it apart. You gotta be a little slow here. It can get confusing. Double check the other side. Don't do them both at the same time. Unless you wanna mess up. In that case, have at it. Before you put all this back together, make sure your adjuster works. Break the threads free, put some anti-seize or grease on it or whatever. And remember, it's reverse set thread. Don't get that mixed up. You might chip a few teeth. Don't ask me how I know. Because we all know what just happened. And last spring will go on. Brakes are done. Got the other side done. I'm gonna throw the wheels back on. I still have to bleed them. I had one of the brake lines actually spinning on the other side, so I'm going to have to make a new one. Not a big deal. I'm gonna replace all the rubber flexible lines and majority of the hard lines. So for time being, I'm just gonna put the wheels back on. We're gonna go ahead and move to the front and get the master cylinder replaced. That way, when we do the front brakes and suspension, we can just plumb everything up from there. So we've replaced the back brakes. We're gonna go and move on to this master cylinder. We're gonna get rid of the old single pot master cylinder and go with the dual pot master cylinder. After we get that done, we can get the front brakes knocked out. I already disconnected the rod up to the brake pedal, and now I'm gonna get this line broke loose. After that's broke free, take the bolts out, get them going. Get it going. Yeah, take it out. Luckily, this fitting is free from the line. I'm not going to reuse this line because we're going to make two that come off of here, bypass that distribution block that was utilized before, and make all new lines. But it's still nice when it comes off like it's supposed to. All right, so here's the difference. I don't need that bolt. Here's the old single pot master cylinder, and here's the new dual pot. I believe the back chamber is for the disc brakes, and then the front chamber is for the drum brakes in the rear. I'm gonna go fish for that bolt. Got it. Interestingly enough, this was not installed properly. Somebody just cut through the boot and stuck that rod in there. I'm not sure if I need this rod or if I use the one that came with the new cylinder, but hold on to it. And I'm also going to hold on to this rear brake light switch. We are going to need to install that somewhere in here. There's a T on this guy. I believe we can remove the bolt here and then put this T in on this unit. We'll do it off on the bench. Installed. New master cylinder installed. I'll bench bleed that after I run all these new lines. For right now, we're just going to leave this right here. Take this new rod, go inside the truck, and get it fixed. Since the original rod is much longer than or shorter than the new rod, I'm going to utilize the original rod for this pedal. The new rod will put that pedal, basically, it won't even bolt up, so I'm going to get this installed. Get this boot installed over the master cylinder. Shouldn't be too hard. And then put the bolt in. We should be good to go, and I will bench bleed it later. So it's going to be a little difficult for you guys to see, but it's pretty straightforward. You got your rod. It's got a hole in it. You got a hole here in your brake pedal. You got your bolt. Goes in one way. Got the sleeve on the outside. Get that lined up. Put the nut on. Tighten her down. You're done. The next thing we're going to do is take off these tires and start getting the front suspension tore off. I have the 76 front suspension in the back of the truck outside. I'm going to get all this stuff taken off. Bring that in here, clean it up, paint it, put new bushings, bearings, and all that stuff on it, and then slap it in the new truck. Slap it into the old truck. So we're over on the passenger side. The first things first, we're going to get the brake line disconnected. I've soaked all the bolts and all the connection points on the suspension and brake components with PB Blaster yesterday and then again this morning, just to help things along. All these old rigs are rusted up. They got all this surface rust and everything on it, so it's good practice to get that, get a little wire brush, clean off the threads. Like I said, let's get this line disconnected. Hopefully it spins. The fitting spins separately from the line. That way we don't have any big issues getting it off. Fingers crossed. Looks like we lucked out and the fitting is spinning without spinning the line. Next, I can start getting this shock off, looking at the new shocks I got. Take this spring loose, the A-arms loose, or radius arms, and the cross members. So, time to get all these cotter pins out, all these nuts loose. Shouldn't be too much. Gotta get the drag link taken off. The pitman arm, I guess that's what it's called, on the steering box. And then we should be able to just drop one side at a time and then drag it out from underneath the truck. Time to get some bigger wrenches and some pliers. All right, so first things first, let's get this cotter pin off of here and then get this cast on out and attempt to get this steering arm taken off and out the way. That guy's loose. Let's go get the other side done. So first things first, I want to get this pitman arm disconnected from the steering link. I've taken the cotter pin out of this nut. I'm going to attempt to get this nut broke loose, take this off, separate the ball joint here from the pitman arm, and then we should be able to just drop it, separate the two pieces here, and we should be good to take off the passenger side and the driver's side. So. Get out of there. What are you doing? Can you just get out? Don't make me get the big hammer. You're gonna make me get the big hammer. I just don't even know. You made me get the big hammer. Don't make me get the heat. You got a torch with your name on it. That's it. I'm getting the torch. All right, after just a little bit of effort, I got the suspension off. So now that this is out of here, I'm going to compare it to the 76, see if there's any differences. I'll measure these radius arms. I'll measure the I-beams and see just if I'm going to be able to use them. I think I would like to use the stock springs, but since I've gotten everything taken apart, I'm going to go ahead and order new springs. I have new shocks, so I don't see any reason not to replace them. New bushings and everything are also here and ready to get put in the arms. I'm going to wire brush the 76 arms and clean those up. I'll show them to you in a second. What I'm going to do is put everything over here on the floor side by side and we'll do a comparison. So we have the 76 I-beams and radius arms and the 66 radius arms and I-beams. I'm going to measure the two to see if there's any differences before I start cleaning everything up and using it. This is 26 3/4 from center of bolt to end of the threads, and this is the same. Now from this flange here, it's 22 1/4, and then from this flange to the center of bolt, it is 22 1/4. So the radius arms look to be the same. It's good to know. And then we'll measure from the center of the mounting point to the center of this bolt that holds the spring. We got 36 3/4 on the 66. And then 36 3/4 on the 76. So it looks like we're good to go. I haven't measured the springs, but I did measure the shocks. They're the same, so I won't have any problem there. These radius arms are a little ate up right here from rust over the years and the bushings. So I am going to take a look online real quick to see if I can order new radius arms. I don't know how likely that is, but I don't like how eaten up these is. Probably fine, but I'll check and see. If it's not too much money, we'll replace them. So that's it for right now. I'm going to spend the rest of the week wire brushing and spray painting all these arms. I'm gonna order the new springs, get those put on, rebuild the brakes, calipers, all that stuff, and then we'll get back to putting this on once I have all that painted and all the parts in. Thanks for watching. Keep up with this one and catch me next time. Thanks. There's first, there's second. Let's go ahead and put it in drive. There's reverse.